need to know about any pitcher props that are on the board. It goes through every single game. It is our favorite thing in the world. Mid-major, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
So you ready for this fun thing? So my conspiracy for tonight is, first off, if the Sixers win, Adam Silver will cancel it and then pay off the accountant so that way it doesn't count. But I think tonight's winner is going to be Dallas, because I think this is the wink part of the deal for Luka, that the NBA wanted Luka to go to the Lakers. So they promised Dallas Cooper Flag, and they're going to win the lottery tonight.
Wow. See, that would be a major upset, because I was looking before at the odds for like the percentage chance for each team. Dallas, let's see, is at a 1.8% according to Yahoo to get the first overall pick.
I think it's worth like a 50-cent bet. Whatever the minimum is on your sports book. We can't bet on it here in Virginia, but I would put like a quarter or 50 cents on Dallas for the ultimate conspiracy theory tonight to win Cooper Flag.
Hey, that's what I was kind of saying about Giannis too. Like, there's something about Giannis Antetokounmpo in Dallas that it's like, hey, we'll give you Giannis back since you guys were so nice in giving up Luka. We'll see. We'll see what happens in Dallas. But your Eagles now, they also are matching up with the Cowboys to start the season. How do Eagles fans feel about that divisional matchup for the first game?
So this is the third time since like 2002 or 2003 that we've had divisional game be the very first game of the season. I think it's terrible in terms of, division game should be week 4 or later, because we know sloppy football happens in this first game. I mean, we've had some great ones. The Lions and the Chiefs were great last year. The Ravens and the Chiefs were great. But like, I just don't think you should have division games be that week 1. And unless every single team is playing a division game, then it's an unfair advantage for everybody else. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Chargers are playing on Friday, so that's another divisional game. But I do appreciate the NFL giving the Eagles a victory the very first game, because we know they're going to beat Dallas. Let's be honest. The Cowboys are terrible. They're going to be in third, and they'll be a far third behind.
You're not sold on George Pickens coming over as a wide receiver, changing the game for the Cowboys?
George Pickens is going to have 2 catches for like 10 yards. Quinyon Mitchell's going to shut him down. He's going to complain, and it'll all begin for Dallas's downfall this season.
Before we get to baseball, do any of the props on the board for the Cowboys-Eagles game that are out on FanDuel stand out to you?
So these are interesting because I think Saquon to score 2 TDs might be, but I noticed on DraftKings, A.J. Dillon to score a touchdown was like 8-1. A.J. Dillon, if they get rid of the tush push, A.J. Dillon will become the tush push essentially on the 1-yard line. They'll hand the ball off to him and he'll get in because he is so good at getting short yardage. So I almost think looking at a A.J. Dillon touchdown in this game might be worth a look, especially if they get rid of the tush push.
That's going to be very far down the line. We have to wait for June, July, August, September, 4 more months until we get to see some NFL action. Well, in the NFL. So let's get to what people could do today in Major League Baseball. You are looking at some props. No Cal Quantrill on your card today, mid-major, Matt. Why is that?
Well, I mean, I do have the Cubs first 5 over 2.5. I think that is.
Look, I left that off. It didn't fit, so I figured I'd ask you about that.
I'm tired of taking his under on strikeouts and having him turn into Cy Young. Like, how did he have, I mean, we know now why, but 6 strikeouts against the Dodgers, that was impressive. So, I mean, look, I'd look probably at his strikeout under, but, the Cubs are a team that we know could be hot and cold when it comes to strikeouts. But yeah, this is my opportunity. I know the wind's not blowing out in Chicago, but there are a ton of guys who have great numbers against Quantrill in this lineup, and the Cubs are the #1 first 5 offense at home this season. They're averaging like 3.6 runs per game. And we got a 2.5. So that's my Quantrill fade for today, is taking the Cubs lineup over 2.5 runs in the first 5.
Okay. I like the approach. It's true. The Quantrill props are kind of like the Patrick Corbin props at this point. Sometimes it's just so hard to get a good number on such a bad pitcher, but you do have a number that you like on a pitcher. You're taking an over 3.5 Ks here in this Tigers Red Sox game. Why?
Yeah, Job has been all right. I mean, look, he's a young pitcher who's got a great future. But if you look at like his strikeout numbers the past couple of starts, he's gone over this 3.5 in 3 of his last 4 starts, and against some decent competition too. I believe one of those games was against the Royals, who we know at times is a very tough team to strike out. So, yeah, it's Houston, who is a team that's at times very good with contact. 5 against Kansas City at home, and then he also had 4 at home against the White Sox. I just think this number's a little too low. The Red Sox still do strike out a lot. 12 of the last 16 right-handed starting pitchers have gone over this against Boston. So I'm going to take a shot on the young kid, maybe the first time through the order, getting 2 or 3 strikeouts, and then the second time, maybe getting another 2 or 3.
Before I get to the rest of your card, Shawn Michaels did have an interesting one to ask because you know, Matt, that everyone's going to be talking about Paul Skenes. He's on the mound tonight, 6.5K prop. Thoughts on Skenes?
Yeah, you know as well, more than everybody else, I hate the top end of the market because everybody just assumes that he's going to go over. Everybody just assumes like, hey, it's Paul Skenes. Of course he's going to get 7 strikeouts. Like he does that every time. But like this year, he actually hasn't been a guarantee for that sort of thing. And so I almost think there might be some value on the under. He had 6 strikeouts in St. Louis. He had 2 at home against the Cubs. He's actually gone under this number more often than not this season. So like, it's not a guarantee. You're almost paying a tax on Paul Skenes, a Paul Skenes tax on his over. So I don't think juice-wise it's over. Plus, there are not a ton of pitchers who have gone over this number against the Mets. If you look at the guys who have 7 or more, Hunter Brown had 7, Bassett had 9, Joe Ryan had 8, and Zach Wheeler had 9, and Zach Gallen had 8. Other than that, everybody else has gone under the 6. Now, if you think that he's on level with a lot of those pitchers, which he probably is, you might look at the over, but just know you're paying a tax on the Paul Skenes over because the books know everybody just blindly bets is over.
Yep, and that's why I am staying away from Paul Skenes today. The Mets don't have that high of a K rate anyway. Then you've got Holmes under 2.5 earned runs allowed. Why are you laying the juice minus 140?
Well, I'm really angry at the Nationals.
That's a good reason to bet something.
If you put the 3 pitchers over the weekend, they faced Eric Fetty, Andre Palante, and Miles Michaelis, and they looked horrible against all 3 of them. And I'm still mad I lost my Michaelis under 3.5 because he couldn't strike me out, I don't think. And so, like, to see the Nationals and the way they've been hitting, especially against bad pitching, like Holmes is coming off some rough outings. I understand that, but at home he pitches better. 10 of the last 13 right-handed starting pitchers have gone under this against Washington, and there's a chance at a weather delay tonight, maybe even early in the game, which could take him out of the game and give us a shot at the under 2.5. I just don't like the form of this Nationals lineup right now. So that's why we're taking the under on Grant Holmes. And remember, unearned runs are tremendous. Like, let him give up a bunch of unearned runs because that doesn't affect this bet. So I'm taking the under there.
How do you account for earned runs for unearned runs when handicapping?
So, I mean, you have to look at some teams who are good at fielding and bad at fielding. There's some teams who are not very good at fielding the ball. And you kind of notice, like, when you look at starting pitchers in terms of how many earned runs they have and unearned runs, if they're giving up a lot of runs, but most of them are unearned, then that's a situation where you could kind of take advantage of that sort of thing because, unearned runs do not lose this bet. That's why whenever we look at like the first 5 run total and we look at the unearned or the earned runs allowed prop in baseball, like those are 2 different handicaps because one includes errors and one doesn't include errors. So I think Holmes is going to do pretty well. I think his fielding is pretty good in Atlanta. So that's why we're looking at the under 2.5 here.
Hancock over 4.5 hits allowed. That game is against the Yankees. You actually have 2 plays in this game, but why do you think the Yankees smash Hancock?
Well, Hancock, the last 4 of his last 5 starts, he gave up 9 hits to the Angels at home. He gave up 5 in Boston, 5 against Cincinnati. And of course, there's that game back in March where he gave up 7 hits to the Tigers in 2/3 of an inning. And look, your Yankees, 12 of the last 17 times have gone over 4.5 hits against New York, against right-handed starting pitchers. And so, look, I mean, you're going to give me a guy who's probably going to give me 5 or 6 innings here. And I think, once again, people are going to be like, you keep saying this, but 4.5 is a spreadable amount in terms of hits. 2 hits this inning, 1 hit this inning, 1 hit this inning. Then you're at 4, and then you just need 1 more. Hancock went over. He broke that kind of streak for pitchers against the Angels in Sacramento, or the A's in Sacramento. He went 6 innings in that game. He's gone 6 innings in his last 3 starts. This is a very nice spreadable hits number for a team like the Yankees, who can certainly do so.
Yeah, the Yankees can do damage out there. They tend to do decently against Seattle and right-handers. I was looking at some of their stats from this game that MLB sends along, but the Mariners are pretty hot right now. They were one of the, like, entering the weekend, and then, of course, they got outscored 21-7 in 3 games over the weekend, but their starting pitching has been an absolute problem. And then the Yankees, they lead the major in runs, home runs, on base percentage, slugging, WRC plus. The Mariners have a bad reputation of hits. So for Clark Schmidt, under 5.5 Ks, we agree on this. The splits have just been drastic on the Mariners, especially their difference in their strikeout rate from last year to this year. My concern is just, can Schmidt get taken out fast enough so he doesn't hit this number?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And only 5 right-hand starting pitchers have gone over this number against Seattle. Luis Severino on opening day. Casey Mize went over this number. These guys have all had 6. Brady Singer had 6. And then Max Meyer and Jack Kochanowicz for the Angels.
Your favorite name.
It's a tough name to say, but he had 6 strikeouts in this against them. And so, like, you look at some of the guys lately. I mean, Francis is 5. That's a little high, but, Gossman had 3, and Hoagland had 3, and Severino had 5. DeGrom had 3 in 5 innings. The key here is we need Schmidt out after 5. I mean, maybe one of those Aaron Boone games where he takes out Schmidt a little early because he's pitching well and they want to preserve him for later on in the season. And we know Aaron Boone loves doing that with Clark Schmidt, because that's why I never play his outs. He's one of those guys that even when he's pitching well, there's a chance that they don't want to stretch him because he's a young arm. He's had injury issues in the past. So we just need him to go 5 here. And I think if he goes only 5, I think we got a shot here on this under.
The good thing there, I'm looking at the Yankees MLB, like the Yankees bullpen usage. Luke Weaver hasn't thrown since Wednesday. Tim Hill hasn't really thrown this week. Mark Leiter, Fernando Cruz, they're all pretty much available. The Yankees pitching that they used the last couple of days weren't their best bullpen arms. So I think that you could see the Yankees utilizing their better bullpen. Like, they could, if Schmidt's getting into some jams and is in some trouble, then I could see the Yankees pulling him. I'm trying to see who is up tomorrow. You probably know from the spreadsheet. Max Fried. Perfect. I think that we have a good shot of pulling Schmidt.
Well, and the outs number is 15.5 juice to the under for Schmidt. And what we've talked about here on this show before is we almost like to let the prop numbers try and tell the story, and then we just have to decide if we agree with it. An outs number and an earned runs allowed number will tell us what the book thinks in terms of how well or how bad these guys are going to do. I'm looking to see what his earned runs allowed is. It's 2.5 juice to the under. So they think he's going to go 5-ish innings, give up maybe 2 earned runs, like 5 or 6 hits. And the question is, how many strikeouts is he going to sprinkle in there? And hopefully for us, it's less than 5.5.
Yeah, Steam's on the Yankees. It's minus 134 last night, minus 146 now. Seattle plus 114 goes down to plus 124. Total's 8, so not too high scoring. So maybe they just think it's a nice little pitcher's duel with the Yankees being able to hit very well. Anything from the weekend that stand out to you, Matt?
So every once in a while, I wish I could throw more on a certain bet. I mean, the Urena bet yesterday was fascinating. We
were so excited when he made his comeback to the bigs.
He is a 2.5 guy, 3.5 guy. They said a 3.5 number. He went through the lineup once. He only lasted 2 innings. But yeah, the thing that struck out to me this weekend was just the Nationals' performance against Fedde, Pallante, and Michaelis. Like, Fedde threw a complete game shutout. I mean, that should not be allowed. And then Pallante, who, look, I like Pallante. Well, you and I have a joke that I like Pallante, but he had 7 strikeouts. The numbers were 3.5 all weekend, and these guys went over by a lot. And so, like, this is where you almost have to decide, is this just a bad series for the Nationals, or is this one of those things where now we can't count on the Nationals anymore in terms of plus matchups? I thought that was interesting. I thought the Phillies' performance in Cleveland was rather interesting, seeing Ranger Suarez go 7 innings. Like, if Ranger's back, that's huge for that rotation. But also seeing Cleveland kind of struggle against Wheeler yesterday. A lot of people are going to struggle against Wheeler. There was a lot of last batter wins over the weekend, so those are kind of tough to certainly swallow because, you handicap a game. Oh, it was Taj Bradley, I believe, who went over against Milwaukee. He got the last 2 batters after a rain delay. Like, if you lost the under on Taj Bradley, I think it was Saturday, you lost one of the worst beats of the season because it was like an hour rain delay. Like, he should not have come out. He comes back, gets 2 strikeouts of the last 2 batters, goes over his number, and then is done right afterwards. That's the most rough beat you probably could have all season.
Ugh, that is just disgusting. No, thank you. And that always tends to happen. You also, I'm actually shocked. Yeah, no, you didn't bet something that you told me you were going to bet today. You told me this morning you like Colin Ray over 4.5 Ks. Why'd you change your mind?
The juice, mostly. I mean, I don't love the juice in a lot of places. And I just, he's the type of guy that he's kind of scary at times. And this is a Marlins lineup that I think will struggle against Colin Ray. But I also, sometimes he gets taken out a little early. And I always like to look at a guy's previous last start to see what his pitch number is. So he threw 92 pitches 3 starts ago, then 73, and then 92 again. So he could be a candidate to get taken out early in this game. And as you mentioned, 4 against San Francisco, 2 in Pittsburgh. Like, come on, 2 in Pittsburgh against the Pirates. So his numbers were kind of all over the place. So it'll be one of those things I regret later, and I'll text you. I'll be like, yeah, we should have taken Colin Ray, but I couldn't do it.
I know that always tends to happen to us. We do have a little bit of breaking news for you, Matt. Not that crazy, but they just posted to X, Adam Schefter, about your Eagles again.
Oh no.
Your Eagles are making headlines because, let me get this popped up on the screen in case everyone's just too busy paying attention to this. No, wait. Ooh. Week 16 doubleheader, Saturday, December 20th. The Eagles are at your Commanders. I mean, it's like your Eagles at like your team that you're closer to, the Commanders.
So I think this is interesting. So it's very ironic that you said that this came up, because on my show today, when we were talking about the schedule leaks and stuff, I thought that Christmas this year was going to be an NFC Christmas because last year it was an AFC Christmas. And I had actually said Eagles, Commanders, and I think I said Lions and Vikings. I thought would be the Christmas doubleheader, but clearly it can't be because they're playing Saturday, December 20th. They're not going to make the teams quickly turn around like that. But look, I think the Eagles and the Commanders are 1 and 2 in this division. I think the Commanders probably win the division. But by the way, did you notice the NFC East has the toughest schedules you could possibly have this coming season?
Who is it? I didn't look.
So it's the NFC East plays the NFC North, in which there's no easy wins, not even the Bears. They play the AFC West, which means basically, where are you playing the Raiders? That's potentially the easiest game. And then they're matching up with the AFC East on the road, depending on their standing. So Bills, Eagles in Buffalo. I forget who finished second, but the Dolphins, that's who the Commanders are playing. So like, it is a really tough schedule this year for the NFC East. I feel like 10 wins probably wins that division. And right now I'm picking Washington because remember, nobody ever, follows up a division championship with another one in this division.
Well, and that's what's pretty crazy because, oh gosh, I hate this split screen. 1 second. Okay, we're back. The Eagles right now on FanDuel have a win total of 11.5. Over plus 100, under minus 120 for your Eagles.
So here's the fun thing with regards to the Eagles. Here's their road games out of division. Okay, it is about as impossible as you can get. They play at Green Bay, at Minnesota, at Tampa Bay, at Kansas City, at LA, the Chargers, and then at the Bills. Those are all their road games. Now they're not going to lose all of them, but their home games are Chicago, Detroit, the Rams, the Broncos, and the Raiders. So like, to me, sight unseen, I would take the under 11.5 because they're going to be good.
And it's a tough division in itself.
Right, exactly. They'll win 4 games at least in the division. They'll probably sweep the Giants unless they're the Week 18 opponent and they don't need it. They'll split with the Commanders probably, and we'll probably split with the Cowboys too. But like, 11.5 is really high based on this schedule this year.
It is really high for an 11.5. And just for the commies, their win total is at 9.5 with the over at plus 100. So they pretty much are giving you the same odds. So if you're thinking like Matt is, then you would think an over 9.5 wins at plus 100 for the Commanders, and then a minus 120 under 11.5 for the Eagles.
Now, the Commanders' road schedule is Green Bay, Minnesota, Atlanta, Kansas City, the Chargers, and it's rumored that they're going to go to Madrid to play the Dolphins. And their home schedule is Chicago, Detroit, Seattle, Denver, and Vegas. I think the Commanders are going to be very good this year, and I think that 10 wins seems about right for them. I think 10 wins this division this year.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see how these win totals shift once we get the schedules on Wednesday, because there's going to be some teams that go up or down by a win because of the schedule release. But we could talk about that on Friday when Mid-Major Matt comes back to join the show. Matt, thank you so much for coming on as always, and good luck to your 76ers in the lottery tonight.
Dallas Mavericks, that's the conspiracy for tonight.
I